lay one end of our handles straight and then grab our bag. This is the base of my bag. And we're going to pop it on top. You want to leave a little bit of room there because when we fold it over and stitch it, we want it to come about halfway. So I just need to move that a little bit. About halfway up the base of your bag, because the other end of the handle is going to come around and we're going to stitch it closed there. You want to also work out where you want your handles. You can see that I have looped the handle up there, and we want to make sure it's not twisted. So if you lay it flat to the table, it won't be twisted. And then we're going to come down and we're going to show you what to do down the bottom. So you're going to put your other handle underneath and you're going to go the same distance in from the side of your bag. I can't actually really see what I'm doing, so I will fix it up later so it's perfect and not all wonky. But you can adjust the length of your handles by just pulling this one down. See how the handles are getting smaller? And we just want to make sure that we've got them at the size that we want. You can put the bag on your shoulder. You could even pin it with some safety pins. You could use sewing pins, but knowing me, I'd use safety pins because I'd probably stab myself with the other ones. And just pin it in place at the top of the bag so that you can try it on to see if that's the size that you want your handles. Then we're going to grab the handle. My yarn is still attached to mine. And we're going to pull it around, but we want to make sure we have enough left on the handle so that it can sit to the base of the bag. Otherwise the bag is going to be crunched up, or you might have too much handle that's there. So just lay it across. And then again, make sure it's coming out in the same position as the other handle. So you don't want to put your handles like that because they'll be off. So you want to make sure they are on top of each other. This part of your handle, which is just the end, is going to wrap around. Now I know this is already the correct size for my handles, so obviously I've got too much up here because this is where the end of my handles are, so that's easy to adjust. So pull that down. I've already done this off screen, so I know it fits. But you want to make sure our handle is, again, it's flat. I still need some more. Come on. Don't forget your handles will stretch out a little bit, so you can make them a little bit smaller. Not too much though, but the handles will stretch a little. So that will come down and that will come up. We'll stitch across there just to secure that in. That's how my handles will sit. You do need to do a little bit of adjusting because you need to get your handles the same size, otherwise one's going to be longer than the other. It's a little bit of playing around. So I know that these handles fit me. We can actually stitch these together now if you want, or you could leave it till the end. I think stitching together now would be easier because then it's just a continuous loop and it stays in place better, because otherwise this is all flapping around in the wind. All right, enough chat, let's get on with it. We are going to sew our ends together. So what we want to do is, and you don't need to do this now, you could do it after you've sewed your straps on, but I just think it's going to be easier for me. I know what I'm like. So we're just going to lay them, so two ends together, two start and finish ends. I don't know, yeah, the ends together. And then we're going to just pull them out, make sure they're not twisted. Okay, so see that's twisted. So 1, 2. Just want to make sure that they are together. Would have made more sense to start from the other end, Claire. But hey. Okay, so now they're not even. Excuse me, not even. So put them together. Make sure it is all the same way. Okay. Now we can stitch it together. I don't know if it was this tutorial that I was saying I couldn't find my scissors, but I obviously found some and put them back twice. We want to cut off some yarn so we can sew it together. I even have a yarn needle. I'm going to grab that. And I haven't finished mine off yet, so I'm just going to put the yarn needle with the yarn threaded and just put it through the end loop there that would have finished it off with, and just pull it, and that will finish that off for you. I'm right-handed, so for some reason it's easier for me if it's on the right-hand side. Okay, so we're just going to sew ends together. So we're going through the top one, through the bottom one, just through both loops there, through both loops there. This is going to be on the bottom of our bag, so if it's a bit dodgy, it won't matter too much. I saw some sewing my bag just before and it's a bit dodgy, but it's on the bottom, so I'm not that worried. The rest looks okay. Just as long as no one inspects it. Okay, so we are finished there. I'm going to go one through there and through that. And I'm going to actually, I don't know if you'll have the same ends on the end, but I'm going to tie them in a knot. My camera's going like my eyesight recently. Blurry. Okay, so we need to sew this end in, so we can just leave that long. I'm just going to sew it in anywhere. I'm 42 at the filming of this video, and I've noticed from 40 that my eyesight's changing. I'm short-sighted, and so that means I cannot see things far away from me. But now, if it's too close to me, which normally I don't have a problem with, it's blurry. So, and at my last checkup, which was last Christmas, sorry, not Christmas, just gone, the one before, and I had my eyes tested around then, and they said, oh, you need to get those multifocal, whatever they're called. And I said, I'm not that old, I don't need to get those. I don't know, for some reason I just pictured me as an old woman. And he laughed and he goes, you'll be back. Guess what? He said when your arms aren't long enough, because you're trying to get things in focus, you'll be back. And then I found out my friend, who's my age, she's actually younger than me. Well, not by much, but around the same age. We went to school together. She has them too. Like, she has the multifocal ones, so it was kind of like, oh, well, I thought it was just sort of me, because I do have quite bad eyesight. Take my glasses off and you're as blurry as anything. It is not very good there. What is going on with that gap? That's okay. I can stitch it together when I'm stitching my handles to my bag. I'm going to get the base of our bag, so this is the bottom, and find where I did my dodgy stitching. That is really bad. Like, did I have my eyes closed? We've got the base of the bag, and we're going to put the join around about the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, just get it close enough. And we're going to start stitching it on. I'm going to stitch it on with the handle colour. We're going to need a lot of yarn to sew these handles on, I think. But don't make your yarn too long, because it will make it hard when you're trying to sew. So you might just need to do it in 2 lots. Alright, so I wanted to close that off, so let's do that. Tie the end a knot. And I'm laying my handle over my bag so that when I stitch it on, it will be even and it won't be all bumpy. I hope you can see this. I'm stitching through my bag, but I'm trying to make it as close as I can to the handles, so I'm just going through that loop. If you stitch, say from here, see how you've got that gap, if you stitch from there, you're going to get this big long thread of yarn coming over to where you've stitched it, and that's what you don't want. You want to try and get it as close as to the edges that you can. So close to the edge of your strap and close to the edge of your the main body of the bag. Okay, so we're coming up and around. I might actually pin that up there with a stitch marker because I might accidentally go crooked, which would be something I'd do. And Duncan, I don't know if you're watching, that just reminded me of you when you posted the hat in the wrong group because you're in two of my groups, and I definitely thought that I had a pattern that was being tested, and I'd forgotten about it because this post appeared, like a notification appeared on Facebook, and it said someone's posted in your pattern testers group, and I thought, am I getting a pattern tested? I was convinced that it was. And then, so I went in there and no, it wasn't. It was just a project that Anne had made, and yeah, it was in the wrong spot, which I thought was hilarious. Laughing with you, not at you, Diane. Thanks for the giggle. Okay, so now we're going to stitch it up the front. This is the front of my bag. You may have the back of your bag looking at you. Won't really matter. You're going to do the same thing on both. If you want one pocket on the front, so if you've decided to go with the pocket on the front and you want it to be one pocket, you're going to stitch it to the front pocket. So you're only going to stitch through these two layers. If you want the front pockets to be divided, you're going to need to stitch through to the layer that's behind that. So for me, it's this light blue colour. So this is the main body and this is the pocket. You're going to have to stitch right through to the main body of the bag so that it creates the pockets. Does that make sense? Is that going to be too much of a pain? I think it might be, because we've got a lot of fabric going on here. I'm going to test it and see what happens. Turn it sideways, because I don't want more work than I've got to do. I've put my hand inside and I'm just keeping my hand underneath where I'm sewing. My hand's here. Can you see? No, you can't because there's a bag in the way. So we're going to have to go through the handle, the pocket, and also the main part of the bag. I don't want my stitching to show on the other side. How am I going to do this so it works? Can I get... I'm just spitballing here, guys. Let's see if this is going to work. This is pretty much what I do normally. I just edit all this bit out of the tutorial. I'm going to pin that to my pocket instead of the main part of my bag, just so I can see into here, because I only want to go through the top layer. I don't want dark blue stitching on the other side. I'm not fussy at all. I just want to stitch on this side of, this is the main part of my bag. I just want to stitch on this side. I don't want to go through the other, all the way through the other side, because it's going to give me dark blue stitching on the inside of my bag and I don't want it. I've got my needle coming, this dark blue is my pocket, it's the main part of my bag. I've got my needle coming through my handles, my pocket, which is the dark blue, and then just on the front loops of my main part of my bag, I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't put the needle all the way through the body of my bag. I'm just picking up loops there, so I think that's going to work. More of a pain in the backside, but I'm fussy and I don't want dark blue stitches on the inside of my bag. I'm allowed to be fussy, aren't I? Okay, so then we want to put our needle. My stitch is there on my pocket and I want to go next to it and then out through my handles, which is not there. So we want to bring it over a bit. Okay, so now I have my needle coming through my hand. This is my handle, this is my pocket. It's coming out through. Now this would be much easier if we just make the outside pocket one piece. But I will persevere. This will be way easier if I was doing this on my lap than trying to shove it in front of the camera. Stop laughing at me. So we're going to go through our handles, through the pocket, and again just through the front of this bag. So I need to put my hand inside. The hardest part is getting the needle to go where you need it to go. Alright, so it's through. just going to press it all the way through so I need to see where I need to go. You can see it's come down there, so I need to go through that part of the bag. This is probably the worst part of any tutorial I've ever made. So it's just picking up the front. This is the main part of my bag. It's just picking up the front loops, and that will stitch it to the front. Alright, I'm not going to show you how to do this anymore because it's just turning into a horrible tutorial. But you get the idea, right? So now, because I'm really struggling, just to be honest, I need to put this on my lap. I'm going to flip this over so I can show you the inside of the bag where I've stitched the handle, if I can figure out where it is. It'll be down in there somewhere. Yay, no dark blue threads. It should be here somewhere. No dark blue threads. Whoop! But if I open this up, and that's pulled tight, we are starting to get two pockets. Can you see that? But there's a pocket in there, and there's a pocket in there. So once we do it all the way up, it'll be joined. So once it's stitched, it will be stitched down like that, and we'll have two pockets. Very cool. Like I said, very hard to show you on a tutorial when I've only got a small amount of space. In a perfect world, I would have the perfect setup, but there's no such thing as a perfect world. So continue on until you have stitched all the way up. If you like, you can stitch it all the way to, this is the top of our bag just here. You can stitch it all the way to the top. Up to you. You don't have to. You could just stitch it to the pocket, which is what I am going to do. I am going to do the other side of my handle because we need to stitch both sides, otherwise we've got this flappy bit. We're going to need to stitch both sides, but because I'm doing the pocket, I don't think I need to go through all those layers. I'm just going to go through my pocket layer and through my handle, and then that will create this pocket because that'll be stitched down like that. It'll make the middle pocket slightly bigger because I won't have that stitched down as well. It's up to you. You can stitch that all the way through to the body of the bag. Again, this is your bag. You do what you want. I'm just showing you how to sew it together. There we go. So we have the front pocket, and that's the main body of the bag, and this is the top of the bag, and we have our strap that we are stitching. I think I'm stitching on the outside there. So pause the video and I'll see you in the next section. I am just about to finish my last stitch, and let me tell you, that was so much easier doing it on my lap. Like 100 times easier than what I was trying to show you on camera. Hopefully you don't get discouraged by the terrible instructions that I just gave you, because it's much easier on your lap. So I'm just about to pull the last loop through. I'm just doing my last stitch, and I'm going to put my yarn needle through that loop. You can see that's going through the loop there, and I'm going to pull that tight, and I'm just going to do another stitch. And do the same thing through the loop. So I'm going to use this same yarn. I've got heaps left because, you know, I cut off 11 billion meters of it. And I'm going to stitch down the other side of our handle because, as you can see, it is talking. Hello. So I'm going to just stitch across the back of this and then stitch back down to the bottom of the bag. I am stitching the pocket. This dark blue is the pocket, and this top dark blue is the strap. And I'm just, let me get this back out, take this out. I am just whip stitching. That's what I call it. Is it called whip stitching? Can you let me know if it's called whip stitching? Because otherwise I'm saying the wrong thing. And I'm just stitching the pocket and the strap, not the main part of the bag. And I'm just whip stitching it. So going through the pocket, through the handles. I'm only going through the back of the handles. I'm not like sticking a needle straight through. I'm just catching those back loops on the back because that's where the back is. So we're just going to do it like that. Oops. As I get to the end, which is about now, I'll go through the loop. Just one more. just to secure. I'm not actually going to cut it off, but it just secures it in place there. And now flip that back and then stitch down. This is the bottom of our bag down here. So we're going to stitch from the top of our pocket all the way down to the base, pretty much where we started on the other side, which was just down the base of our bag, just here. So we're going to stitch across there as well. Pause the video and I'll see you when we're ready for the next step. Because I still have heaps of thread left, as you can see, like heaps, I'm going to put my strap up that way. And I'm just going to continue sewing. I'm on this side at the moment. And I'm just going to continue sewing that strap up the back. Because we've got to do it anyway, so I may as well just keep going with that same thread. Make sure your bag isn't folded like that. Make sure it is flat. Put that flat. We need to sew up here. So I'm doing that. I've already got my thread attached, like I just said. And then we're going to stitch across like we did on the other side for the top of the bag there. And then we're going to stitch down, all the way down, until we come back. And this is where we started, where this thread's hanging out there. So we can basically do that all in one motion. But just make sure that your straps are lined up. I'm going to grab some stitch markers and just pop them at the top there. Again, so I don't go crooked. Pause video and I'll see you when we're ready for the next step. So now we have a bag that looks extremely odd with one long handle. And what we're going to do is grab this end and put it down on the base down there. So grab that, pull it round. But this is going to be on the base and you're going to thread through here, through the loop. You're going to put your bag through the loop. And then adjust your handles and adjust where you want your handles to be. So move them over the same distance as this one that we just sewn on. Make sure your handles are the same length. You could pick it up and just give it a shake. Again, make sure you're stitching it in the right spot. And we're just going to start that way we did the other one. I think if you start at the bottom, if you do have some joining showing, like where you've put your yarn on, it's going to be on the bottom, so it won't be as noticeable. But if you've got a big knot or something up here, you might see it. So I've only attached my handle just to the top of the pocket. I haven't stitched it all the way, but on the back of the bag, I stitched it all the way. You can see that that's attached all the way to the top. Pause the video and go and sew on your other handle, and we've almost finished our bag. And if you're not choosing the next option, you pretty much have finished your bag. We are now going to use our bright orange, and this is called Flame. This should be called High Vis. I don't know if you have High Vis where you are, what country you're in, but our workmen wear these fluoro orange, or it can be a blue shirt with fluoro orange big stripe on it. It's just so it's high visibility if they're workmen that work on roads or anything like that. This is totally high vis. But it's called Flame. And what we're going to do, if you chose to do a front pocket on your bag, this is where you can add it. You could add it to the top of your bag. That would look really cute too, around the top of the bag. But I'm just going to add it to this front pocket. This is totally optional. And if you don't want to have this option, then thank you so much for joining us for the video tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share your creation on our Facebook page. And there is a link in the description box of this video for the Facebook page. Also, tag me on Instagram if you're over there. This project is so big now, it's hard to fit in the camera. On our front pocket, we are going to join on the right-hand side. If you are left-handed, you will join on the left-hand side because that'll be the direction that you work in. So I'm just going to join it on the corner here. And I'm going to be using the pom-pom edging. If you have never done this before, I would suggest watching my other pom-pom video. I'll put a link in for you and it'll pop up just here, or there'll be a link in the description box down there. I'm going to be using 2 threads because I've used 2 threads throughout this project, but you could use one if you really wanted to. I'm using the same size crochet hook, so it is a 6mm crochet hook. I'm going to pop them on. So what we're going to do is just going to join on this colour. So we're going to pull that through, pull down, snug, and you can do as many chains as you want. I think on my video, my other video, I did 3 chains, then the pom-pom, then 3 chains. So I'm going to do 3 chains. But you can swap this up for whatever you want to do, but just remember the same number so you can do it on all of your pom-pom edging. So we've got our 3. We want to do 3 more. So the first one is actually 6, but we need to do that number that we want to do. So you might have 2 there, then you're going to add 3. You might have 6 at the beginning and add 3. So do your number, which for me is 3, and now add 3 more. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then into the 3rd chain that is away from your crochet hook, so don't count the one that's on your crochet hook. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to work, I have no idea. Okay, I just watched my own tutorial and we are ready to go. We are going to do, it's like a double crochet, but we don't finish it off. So we're going to do that into the 3rd chain from the crochet hook. So 1, 2, 3, yarn over, go into that chain. Go into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So it looks like we've got 4 loops on our crochet hook, but 2 loops are counted as 1. So this is actually 1 loop, even though it's 2, because we're working with 2 strands of yarn. That's where it could be a little bit confusing if you've never done that before. And like I said, you can watch the other video tutorial and it will explain it exactly the same way, but it just uses 1 strand. So again, we're going to yarn over, we're going to go into that same stitch, and we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. So it's technically 4 because, like I said, so we've now got 3 loops on our crochet hook. 1, 2, 3. We actually have 6, but like I said, it's counted as 1. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to yarn over, we're going to go into the loop, pull up a stitch, yarn over, and pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on our crochet hook. We want to get 5 altogether. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go into the stitch, and we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over. Gets a bit bulky now, we've got so many stitches. So yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops now because we want to finish off this stitch. So yarn over and pull through all the loops. See my crochet hook, I'm going to twist it so it's pointing down. So see the hook there? It's going to be facing that way. So yarn over, twist it right around, and that'll help it go through all there without getting stuck. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 1, and we're going to do 3 chain 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do the same thing into this loop that's just here, or stitch. Yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop. You've got 3 on your crochet hook, yarn over and pull through 2. You've got 2 on your crochet hook, yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. So it's just like doing a double crochet, it's just you're not doing that last yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. So we have 3 loops on our crochet hook, yarn over, go into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, oops, hang on. Forget that last bit, I did it wrong. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need 5 altogether. So we need to do that again. Like I said, if this is a bit too confusing because of all the loops, go back to the other tutorial and it's much clearer. You can just follow that one. But I'll just show you, I'm going to go into each stitch along here. Let me just poke those ends out of the way. We've got enough yarn going on here without those in the way. So we'll just poke them in. I'll soak them in later. So we have this awesome pom-pom. It's going to be huge. And now we're just going to fold it. We're going to fold it. Our crochet hook is going to go away from us. So it's going to go, I think it's quite hard to see on TV. Duh. Oh, we sure it's on TV. On video. So your crochet hook goes away from you, so they're folded together. And we're going to slip stitch in this stitch here, and that's where all the double crochets went into the very first one that we did. That's where all the stitches went into. So go into there, yarn over and do a slip stitch. You want to make that snug because that's where the pom-pom joins together. And then we're going to do the chains that we did at the beginning. So I did 3, and remember how I said you could use as many as you want? That's what you're going to do now. So I need to do 3. And then this is where you can choose. You could go into the next stitch, you could skip one if you wanted to. I'm going to go into each stitch across. So what did I do there? I just slipped it. So I'm going to slip stitch that across. You could do a single crochet if you really wanted to, but that looks cool. Okay, so let's do another one. My brain is actually in full concentration mode for this. Because I literally had to watch my own tutorial because I couldn't remember. I've done that many times, watched my own tutorial because I've forgotten how to do something. Alrighty, so we're going to repeat that all over again. We're going to do the chains that we wanted to do. So I chose the number 3. Get on there. Then we are going to do 3 chains. You could probably do a standing double crochet here. Don't know. You could try it. I don't use that stitch, but if you do, you could try it out to see if it works. Into the 3rd chain from the crochet hook, so 1, 2, 3, we are going to do a double crochet but not finish it off completely. So into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Got 2 on our crochet hook. Yarn over, go into that same stitch again. I don't know if this orange is really blown out on the camera. It is like sunglasses bright. So I apologise. Please let me know if it is. And I just won't use this colour again. What am I doing? That's not working. Pull through 1. Oh, I did it. I think I did it right before. Anyway, so these crochet hooks with the handles on them, they don't give you much crochet hook to get all your stitches on, so it is a bit of a struggle. So that's 3 on our hook. We need 5 altogether. So go in again. So that's 4. I need 1 more. Get back down in here. Pull through and yarn over, pull through 2, and we should have 5 loops on our crochet hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yarn over, turn your crochet hook so it's pointing down, and then pull through all loops. So that's the first part. We are going to do a chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3, and we're going to do our double crochet but not finish it off. Whatever that's called. What is this called? A cluster? I think this is a cluster at the top. I should know that. Yeah, it's a cluster. Anyway, into that same stitch, we are going to work until we have 5 loops on our crochet hook. So we've pulled through all of those stitches, and we want to close this off, so we want to move our crochet hook away from us to fold it up to make the pom-pom. You may have to push these pom-poms out, because I know, see that back one, that's pointing towards me. I need it pointing away from me. There we go. These look really cool with the double yarn. So we're going to slip stitch into, there's a stitch there, which is the top of the chain that we did at the beginning, and worked all those stitches into that chain. So we're going to go in there and we're going to work a slip stitch. So grab your yarn, pull through, and pull through the loops on your crochet hook. Want that to be snug. And we're going to make a chain. 1, 2, 3. If you chose a different number, do that now. This yarn is not feeding out properly. And we're going to find the next stitch on our pocket, and we're going to do a slip stitch into there. Or you could do a single crochet if you wanted to. Oh my goodness, what's happening? I haven't actually crocheted for like 3 weeks. More thumbs. And I haven't knitted either, in case you're wondering if I went to the dark side. I haven't done anything. I'm super lazy. But hey, get that. Oh, I think I'm doing all my pom-poms in double yarn from now on. They are awesome. I just want to squish them. So I'm going to repeat this all the way across until I get to the handle. You can see the handle comes up here. A little bit hard to see because it's the same colour, but the handle comes up here, and I'm just going to work them same pom-poms all the way across until I get to the stitch next to the handle, and I'll show you what I'm going to do behind. I'm not going to do pom-poms behind because these are bulky pom-poms. Beep, beep. So yeah, I'm not going to actually do the pom-poms behind there, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'll see you when I've got, I don't know, about 4 or 5 more done. Pause the video and I'll see you there. I've just slip stitched to the stitch to the right of the handle, and what I'm going to do is slip stitch behind the handle, because I don't want to have these pom-poms that's going behind the handle. Do your best and slip stitch across. You could cut your yarn off and then just restart on the other side, but I don't want to have a heap of ends to sew in. I'm literally just poking it somewhere to find a stitch. Just make sure you don't go through to the other side. Let me just double check. You don't want your stitches coming through there. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch there, which is next to the handle. You can see that, this one here. And then I'm going to restart my pom-poms and do those across. And then when I get to my next handle, which is over here, I'm going to slip stitch behind that as well. If you have stitched yours to your bag, you may have, like if you've stitched your handle all the way up, you're going to have to finish off and then restart over that side, because you won't be able to go behind your handles. But I didn't stitch mine completely to my bag where my front pocket is, so that's why I can go behind my handle. Pause the video and I'll meet you when we have all of our pom-poms finished. I have finished my pom-pom edging, which looks amazing, but as you can see, because this yarn is quite thick and heavy, it's making the pocket sag. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to thread some yarn through the back of there. I'm going to show you how to do that, just to pull it up a bit tighter so that it doesn't sag as much, because crochet stretches, so it'll probably just get a little bit worse. You could slip stitch at the back, but I'm just going to thread some yarn through and then just tie it off. When I did my front pocket, I stitched it down on one handle and then left this bigger section open. So there's a little pocket just there and this bigger section there. So I'm going to thread my yarn, I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to thread it through the dark blue part, the back of the pocket, and then thread it all the way over to here. And then when we pull our yarn tight, I'm hoping that that makes that not so saggy. I've actually got to attach it at the other end because I can't fit the bag into the camera space when I've got it attach the other end. It doesn't really matter which end you attach it. So this is the edge of my bag, and I'm going to attach it to the dark blue section. I'm just going to tie a knot. You don't have to. You can attach it however you want. So I'm just going to tie a knot just so that secures that on there. And then through the back of the darker blue stitches, I could probably even go through the orange ones, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go through. This is the back of the stitches. I'm just going to go through like that and just work my way all the way along. And I think I cut off too much yarn. Not to worry. How amazing are these pom-poms? They're huge. They're like probably, I don't know, like half a golf ball. I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to do it all the way across. As I'm going, I'm actually pulling it snug so that it tightens up where it's loose. And I'll show you. Pull this through. And I'm just pulling it snug. You can't tell, but I can feel the yarn underneath going snug, so it should work. We may need to pull it a bit more when we get to the other end, but we'll see. So you can see that's still loose, so I'm going to pull on the yarn and then see how it's just bending over. You know what, the pom-poms are going to be in the way, but I'm going to pull it quite snug. You can see here it's pulled snug, it's pulled straight. Don't pull it too tight, but once you've got stuff in your bag, that's going to fill out that gap. If you pull it too tight, this bit here is going to fold under like that, and it's going to look weird. So just make sure that it will sit flat like that. And then we're just going to tie it off and sew in our ends. Gone through another stitch, so I've just gone anywhere just near the yarn that's poking out there. I'm going to pull it through, and just before we close off the loop, if I can get it, we just want to put our yarn needle down through the loop. And what that's going to do is just tie off our yarn, and we want to do that a couple of times. So it'll just pull snug. And do that again, and then just sew in your ends as usual. So I'm just going to sew my ends in through there. And apparently my phone's not on silent. And then we're just going to cut off our end. And we're done. My ends are actually all sewn in. Pat on the back for me. What colours have you chosen for your bag? I would love to know. Please share your creations on our Facebook page. There's a link for that in the description box below. Tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see your projects. I do really get excited when I see everybody else's projects made with my patterns. It's very... what's the word? I cannot think of a word, but if you can think of a word, what I'm trying to say, put it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, happy crochet.